Hi, I'm Florence Cohen. I'm the founder of Osteopathic Reflexology. I'm probably not very well known in the English-speaking world, and that's because I live in Spain. I work in Spain. That's where my practice is, in Madrid. And I've been teaching in Spain osteopathic reflexology for quite a number of years. I've been teaching a few years in Argentina. And only last year I came to London, to the English-speaking world for the first time. And in 2020, I'm very excited to be in Northern Ireland and back in London. I'm French originally, and I speak fluent English, as you see, and fluent Spanish. And this allows me to teach in different languages. So I'm a one-woman show, so sometimes it's a lot. And I'm crazy about science. I'm especially crazy about physics and applying physics to the understanding of the body. And so for many years now, I've slowly been fascinated. I'm not going to say obsessed because it doesn't sound very sane, but I think a lot about what goes on in the body from fascia, from this tissue that is everywhere, like a spider web, a fibrillar network in our bodies. And there are visionaries in the field that really teach us incredible things. And it's a shame not to use that research and take it to the hands and create better techniques so that people can heal faster. And I regret the fact that there is very little of that going on. There's tremendous amount of research being done, incredible research. You have these incredible minds figuring out how to include the physics in the body all the way to the subatomic world that is inside of us. And very little of this is being taken to the hands. So I really, really like physics, and I think I'm perhaps a little gifted in understanding how some things that seem unrelated are actually related. And I try to work with people who are like-minded. For instance, Dr. Fernando Bertolucci is a fascia researcher, but also the founder of a manual therapy called Tensegrity Touch, which is really at the forefront of novel therapies that allow for a much faster healing. Why? Because we're entering self-regulating doors that didn't seem obvious, or we couldn't see the whole door before because we didn't have the understanding that we have now. The understanding is not complete, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it's very exciting every time we discover things, and it's happening so fast and we don't see the end of it, but it's still, every step is so exciting that well, it's a shame and it's not a shame, because I'm actually enjoying this race towards the knowledge. And we realize now that this spider web that's inside of us, made of collagen, elastin, it's a fibrillar network, has so much to offer, and that we need to use even quantum physics to understand it, because it has such a complex behavior. It's a chaos. And I will show you images in class of this chaos. We have images from the French surgeon Jean-Claude Guimberteau. We thought we like order, human beings, and we've drawn the body in a very orderly way for the past 500 years. And actually inside there is this incredible chaos, and this chaos gives us an order of shape, of movement. So behind all this chaos, there has to be an underlying order that has to do with the laws of the universe, not just the laws of the body or the laws of the planet. So, but so to understand all of this and then take it to the extremities. So why are the extremities important? Okay, so what would be the point if you understood everything about the tissue? What would be the advantage of working from the extremities instead of going to any other part of the body? Well, we live in a gravity environment, and that's key because our whole shape and the way this fibrillar network of fibers inside of us is actually designed is all about fighting gravity so that we can keep our shape, whatever we do, however we move, that we can keep our shape in this gravity environment. And this is, like a very short sentence, but it has so many implications. The first one is that there needs to be a tension in the tissue, and we call this pre-tension. And maintaining this pre-tension throughout life is actually what's going to keep us healthy, or one of the aspects that's going to keep us healthy. So going back to the extremities, in a gravity environment, everything is taken down. The force is pushing on us. So it's pushing on every part of us, every atom. So we need to understand how this force affects us. And we need to understand that everything that is above the extremities is going to take the information to the extremities. So in the extremities, we know we have this abundance of information, and very few people are looking at the extremities, which is something I don't understand. But and reflexologists have been looking at the extremities, but from the medicine of the parts. See, we've moved from a paradigm of medicine of the parts where a liver would be unrelated to a muscle and a tendon unrelated to a thyroid, but none of that is true, really. This fibrillar network makes everything related to everything. And there's no way around that. And everything is related to everything in this gravity environment. And this has a lot of consequences on the extremities. So I think now you can understand that in the extremities, you're going to have a lot of information, basically the information of the whole body. You have the information of the whole body in the whole body, everywhere in the body, but it's going to be even more so concentrated because of gravity in the extremities. So if you were like the big engineer who had designed all of this, a very smart place to put a regulating system of this whole complex fibrillar network would be in the extremities. Not talking about, everything we get, how we free ourselves from negative electricity that we accumulate in our body, and that the earth has that function, the whole grounding aspect, which has to do with electricity, basically. None of that, not talking about that, just talking about what's going on in the body and limiting it to the body right now. So everything, every piece of information in your body is going to be reflected in the extremities because of the gravity environment. So the most logical place to put a self-regulating system would be in those extremities, because all the information is there. At that moment, we can send back information to the body, and we can direct against gravity how to distribute the forces in the whole system of the body, the whole network of fibers from down there. So it's very nice when we talk about, tensegrity models. This is a tensegrity model where we have the tension. Tensegrity means tensional integrity, which means we need to keep the tension in the model so that the model retains its shape. And that, if we dispose things and we tense things in a certain way, it's almost as though we could ignore gravity. But it's not really like that. I mean, we can't ignore gravity. We can function well in gravity thanks to tensegrity, but we can't ignore gravity. And when we look at textures, tensions, fascial lack of sliding, gliding of fascia, adhesions. They have many names, but I'm careful because one name doesn't mean exactly the same as another. But I'll explain all of that in class in more detail. And some of you already know a lot about this, but we need nowadays to understand that from the extremities we can redistribute the forces throughout the whole fascial network, and in a gravity environment that's something that should be obvious. One of the things that how to say this, one of the things that really reinforces what I'm saying is the foot. The fact that a foot has so many bones, 26 bones, and they're all independent, and they all have different, different movements in different planes. They actually have multi-directional movements, these bones. And one of the most key bones in the foot is the calcaneum. And we'll talk a lot about that, and many techniques have been designed to release either the calcaneum with respect to the other bones, okay, or the periosteum, the membrane that's around the bone, from the bone, because very often we feel that it is stuck, either where the insertion of the Achilles tendon is right here, or on the sides. There is no gliding, sliding between the membrane and the bone. And it's actually been discovered that there's a hydraulic system between the periosteum and the bones. So if the periosteum is not sliding, gliding on the bone, that means that this liquid, this hydraulic system is not functioning well. And we know, because it's been proven, that if a periosteum is not working well in a certain part, it's actually affecting all the periosteum. It could be that we're one big periosteum and not several separate periosteums. The most probable thing is that we're one big periosteum. But if one periosteum doesn't work well, that means the rest of the periostea are not working well in the body. So there are so many aspects to the extremities that afterwards are going to have so much influence on the rest of the body. So whatever happens in the body is going to have an influence on what information is in the extremities, and we're going to find, because of the gravity environment, all the information, all the tensions that are in the body, in the extremities. If we release those tensions, we're going to release and redistribute the forces in the whole fibrillar network of the body. So basically we have access to the totality from the extremities. And the fact that all the bones have independence, have movement, the fact that we have so many bones is not for nothing. There's a tremendously smart engineering system here in the extremities that reflects the need for independent movement to help the body keep constantly moving in all its multi-directional possibilities. And if that's not happening, if the foot is not flexible enough, then if all the bones don't have the movement that they're supposed to have, one thing is that the foot has to work in harmony, and all these bones have to work in harmony, and all the tissues that are inside the bones, because there is fascia inside the bones as well, and some of the techniques I have developed have to do with that, liberating intra-bone fascia. And that's very important if we want to loosen up the whole structure. If we do everything on the soft tissue, and it's all soft tissue, but if we don't go in the part that's harder and we don't loosen it up, the rest is always going to have a limitation because everything is in torsion because of the shape of the collagen molecules in triple helix. And I'll go over all those details in class and make it more clear. But I want to make it short here. So, but I still want to get you interested in all of this so that you see all the aspects. So because there is a natural torsion inside bone because of the shape of the molecules of collagen, then the risk of having too much tension, which affects all the tissue all the way to the skin and creates limitations in the movement and can create adhesions and can lead to injuries, then we need to address that. And sometimes I just don't understand why other therapists have not addressed fascia inside bone. It needs to be addressed in a gravity environment. It's very, very important. So giving back movement to all the bones, all of them, so that they retain their independence but work in the best possible, the optimal harmony together, so that the rest of the body is actually very supple and able to move exactly as it is paramount to the engineering design.